Part 5 of Chapter 1. Shortly after the death of the great master Bahauddin Veled, news was received by the Sultan, I forget which S there is, but Alauddin of Konya, of the arrival of Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarezm Shah on the borders of Asia Minor. The Sultan went and prayed at the tomb of the deceased saint and then prepared to meet the Khwarezmians who were in the neighborhood of Erzerum, Erzen of the Romans, ancient Arzens, now Erzerum. Now you can supplicate at the graves and stuff, but you don't perform the ritual prayer. So a lot of it could, these issues that sound like issues, they may not be issues in the Farsi or whatever. Erzerum. Scouts brought in the intelligence that the Khwarezmians were very numerous and great anxiety prevailed among the Sultan's troops. He resolved to see for himself. He put on a disguise and set out with a few followers on fleet horses for the Khwarezmian camp. They gave out that they were nomad Turks of the neighborhood, their ancestors having come from the Oxus, that latterly the Sultan had withdrawn his favor from them, and that in consequence they had for some time past been looking for the Khwarezmian advent. This was reported to the king that Jalaluddin, who sent for them and received them kindly, giving them tents and assigning them rations. During the night, King Jalaluddin began to reflect that everyone had hitherto spoken well of Sultan Alauddin, and a doubt arose in his mind in consequence respecting the story of these newcomers, especially as he learned that the Sultan was on his march to meet him. Consulting with the Prince of Erzerum, further perquisition was postponed until the morrow. Ram, or Rum, of course, being that region of Asia Minor. But at midnight, the deceased saint of Konya, Bahauddin, appeared in a dream to Sultan Alauddin and warned him to fly at once. The Sultan awoke, found it was a dream, and went to sleep again. The saint now appeared a second time. The Sultan saw himself seated on his throne, and the saint coming to him, smiting him on the breast with his staff, and angrily saying, "Why sleepest thou? Arise!" Now the Sultan did arise, quietly called his people, saddled horses, and stole away out of the camp. Towards morning, King Jalal caused guards to be placed round the tents of the strangers to watch them, but afterwards, when orders were given to bring them to the king's presence to be questioned, their tents were found to be empty. Pursuit was attempted, but in vain. After an interval, the two armies came into collision. The Sultan of Konya was victorious. From that time forward, whenever difficulties threatened, he always betook himself to the shrine of the saint Bahauddin. He always answered his prayers. Okay, so he was not a Muslim because he was worshiping a saint. Doesn't mean he doesn't get credit for what he did aside from that, but or that he's, he wasn't doing something Islamic with other parts of his life, but certainly if you pray to other than God, you're not Muslim. As Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarezm Shah has already been stated to have died in battle in Azerbaijan in 1223 of Common Era, where the Saint of Konya did not die until 1231. 8 years afterwards, the discrepancy of that date with the present anecdote is irreconcilable.